How you doing, guys? Today I am going to talk about my rear differential. In my prior videos I indicated that I'm using a 1966 Wheelhorse 1056 as the basis for my pseudo puller tractor. It originally came with a 3-speed transmission with 1-inch axles. The transmission itself is fine, but if I'm going to do some pulling with the tractor, what I learned was it was best to go to a 1 1/8 inch axle and an 8-pinion rear end. So that's what I did, and typically those are 8-speed transmissions. So a friend of mine sold me a 8-speed transmission, beautiful shape. The only thing is it had a 10-pinion posi traction rear axle, or differential in it. And after doing some research, it was really, again, not the most ideal rear axle or rear differential to use. Really, to use, the best one would be to just get a standard 8-pinion rear axle, 1 1/8 inch diameter axles, and just go that route. I could have gone out and found another transmission, but I had just bought one. I got a good deal on it. It had real nice internals. It wasn't rusty or filled with water or anything. Well, it was filled with water, but it wasn't rusty, let's put it that way. So I went to eBay and I bought an 8-pinion rear differential off of eBay. Now the differential showed up. It was exactly as described, but I learned the hard way that a 520, that's what this rear axle is, this differential, I keep saying rear axle, I'm sorry, differential. This 8-pinion differential came out of a Wheelhorse 520. And the problem with that is it's physically a little bit larger and heavier duty than a standard 8-speed rear differential, as far as I could tell. It's definitely thicker and more heavy duty than the 10-pinion that I took out of this transmission. So that necessitated some modifications, because again, I wasn't going to go out and find another rear differential, spend more money. I just said, look, I'm just going to get this done. So essentially what I had to, this is one side of the differential. Here's the other side, and essentially what I had to do is the bearing, the inner diameter of the bearing and the outer diameter of this fascia, okay, were larger than the 10-pinion rear differential. So I had to machine this down, this diameter from here to here. I had to machine that down in order to fit into the roller bearing in my original 8-speed case. I also had to machine I had to machine this fascia in just a hair to make this a little bit larger, so when I slid the differential in, it allowed the cases to completely close, and then there'd be no slop in the differential itself within the case. So after some careful measurements, running it on the lathe, I was able to do that. Now, you say, well, you compromised strength. And to a point, yes. But the thickness right here, okay, is thicker than the 10-pinion by a lot. It's like, I can't remember what the exact measurement was, but it's almost a third thicker than the 10-pinion was. Also, this overall thickness right here is much thicker than the 10-pinion was. So I might have taken some strength out of the two side covers, but at the end of the day, it's stronger, it's larger, it's stronger and thicker than what was originally in there. So that was a plus. So I got a heavier duty 8-pinion rear differential that I'm sticking in into the cases themselves. But there was another issue, and the issue was with the bull gear. I don't know if you can notice, but I had to machine the tooth down a little bit because the 10-pinion axle has an offset bull gear. It doesn't ride right in the center of the case. So to use the 520 bull gear with the 10 pinion brake shaft, there was some binding, so I had to machine about almost 1/8 of the gear off and then fascia it down. So you say, well, again, you know, that compromises strength, but when you take careful measurements, this distance from here to here is actually a 1/16 of an inch wider than, number one, the 10 pinion gear, and number two, the original 3 pinion gear. So although I might have made this tooth a little smaller by machining the edge down, it's still the same length, diameter, I guess you call it, as the 10 pinion and the 3 pinion that was originally in the tractor. So with that being said, really there's not a whole lot lost. I didn't machine the edge off, the original edge that holds the side covers in place. They're there. So this bull gear is still, in my opinion, more than adequate to do what I'm going to take care of. Obviously the pinion gears themselves are in real good shape. Just got to add them in one by one in a staggered formation. Make sure that the staggers stay the same. So we're going to make, you know, up, down, up. Then we make this one down. Then we got up, goes in here, down goes in there like that. Same thing. We go up, and then we go down. Okay, so now I have all the pinion gears are in. I did source a set of 1 1/8 inch axles. The Woodruff key slots are in mint shape. The gears are in mint shape. I'm just going to go ahead and drop that in there. Just give it a little wiggle. There they go. Obviously the bull gear goes on. I'm just kind of going quick here because I want to show you something else that I had to do. I'm just going to line this up, and we're going to drop this other side piece on real quick. There we go. All right, so essentially there's the rear. Now, because the side covers and the bull gear itself are wider, or you know, the overall width is a little bit wider than the original 10 pinion, I had to machine. I got some grade 8 bolts that I'm going to use, but I had to machine the heads down a little bit to make them a little bit thinner, to give me a little bit more clearance between the side of the differential compared to the brake shaft gear. So I had to machine the bolt head down a little bit, so that way when I tighten it all in, these bolt heads, while it's spinning, will clear the brake shaft gear. Now you say, well, again, Vin, you shaved it down, which compromises it. But actually, here's the original 8 pinion bolts. Wheel Horse shaved them down already. So again, not a big deal in my opinion. The original 8 pinion, I can't get this one off, of course. Here we go. The original 8 pinion used this really thin washer that just fit inside the machined groove that's in the top. So that wasn't, I didn't think that was the greatest thing to use. So what I did was, and we can pull this off, what I did was I took a grade 8 washer and I machined it down, or I just filed it down actually, so it fits real nice in the slot, the original machined slot. You drop the bolt in, you line the bolt up like that, and you get this, and it just fits real nice. The opposing side where the nuts go doesn't really matter because there's just so much open area, and what we're going to do there is I'm just going to run a standard grade 8 washer and then a grade 8 pinch nut with a flange. So on the opposing side, once it's all together, I will have something that looks to that effect. So I'll have a lot of clamping power, a lot of strength. Once I get this all together, I don't believe there will be any issues with it, because everything seems to fit real nice. I mean, take the other axle, just drop that bad boy, just give it a little just line up the teeth a little bit, give it a little wiggle, let it drop in. Take the other side cover. You just line up the bolts. All fits together, and I know it works good. I mean, there's absolutely, I mean, obviously it's not clamped together with the bolts, but it spins real nice. I turn this axle in this direction, yeah, the other opposing axle turns the other direction. If I turn the other one, everything works real nice and smooth. So I'm real happy with this. This is going to be the differential I'm going to use at this point in time. You know, if it blows up, you just start over and you do something else. But for right now, I'm got a really good feeling about this. Once it's all torqued together, I will put a little bit of white lithium grease on the pegs that go into the side cover, just so they're a little pre-lubricated before I start to run the tractor. The gears, I'm not going to really lubricate those so much, because once I fill the case up with appropriate gear oil, this thing's just going to fill up with gear oil anyways, and then we'll be off and running. So I'm going to go ahead and bolt together this rear differential, and then I don't know if my next video will be putting the transmission together, or I might be working on the engine, but in the next video we'll be doing one or the other. So with that, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.